Death is not what you think it is. The universe has already decided your fate and mine too. Every breath you take, every heartbeat, every moment of your existence is marching toward one inevitable destination. But here is what terrifies me the most. Physics proves that we cannot escape it. Not now, not ever. Today I want to talk about something that keeps even the brightest minds awake at night. Death. But not the death you hear about in stories, or the death that philosophers debate. I want to talk about the physics of death, the cold, hard, undeniable laws of the universe that make death not just likely, but absolutely unavoidable. You see, most people think death is a biological event. Your heart stops, your brain shuts down, your body fails, and yes, that is part of it. But what if I told you that death is written into the fabric of reality itself? What if I told you that the same laws that created stars and galaxies are the exact same laws that guarantee your end? Let me take you on a journey through thermodynamics, entropy, quantum mechanics, and the ultimate fate of everything that exists. By the end of this, you will understand why death is not just unavoidable for living beings, but unavoidable for the entire universe. Everything begins with one simple rule, the second law of thermodynamics. This law states that in any closed system, entropy always increases. Entropy is a measure of disorder, and the universe loves disorder. Think about your room. If you leave it alone, it does not organize itself. It becomes messier. Clothes pile up, dust accumulates, things fall apart. This is entropy in action, and the same thing happens to your body. Your body is a highly organized system. Trillions of cells working together, molecules arranged in perfect structures, energy flowing in precise pathways. But maintaining this order requires constant effort. Every second, your body fights against entropy. It repairs damaged cells, it replaces dead tissue, it pumps blood, it breathes, it digests food. But here is the problem. This fight cannot go on forever. Every time your body does work, it generates heat. Heat that spreads out into the environment, energy that can never be recovered. This is called thermodynamic irreversibility, and it means that with every heartbeat, with every breath, you are losing the battle against entropy. Eventually, your body runs out of energy, your cells stop repairing themselves, your organs fail, and entropy wins. This is not a flaw in your biology, this is physics. The second law of thermodynamics guarantees that every organized structure in the universe must eventually fall apart, including you. Let me go deeper. Why can your cells not just keep repairing themselves forever? Why do we age? The answer lies in something called the Hayflick Limit. Your DNA is stored in structures called chromosomes. At the end of each chromosome, there is a protective cap called a telomere. Every time a cell divides, these telomeres get shorter. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces. They protect the important genetic information inside. But after about 50 to 70 divisions, the telomeres become too short. The cell can no longer divide. It enters a state called senescence, or it dies. This is programmed into your biology, and it exists because of evolutionary trade-offs. You see, if cells could divide forever, they would become cancerous. Cancer is essentially cells that refuse to die. They ignore the signals that tell them to stop dividing. They grow uncontrollably. So the Hayflick limit is a defense mechanism. But it also guarantees aging. It guarantees death. Now you might ask, what about stem cells? What about cells that can regenerate? Yes, some cells in your body can divide more times than others, but even they have limits. Even they accumulate damage over time. And this brings me to another crucial point, DNA damage. Every day your DNA is attacked. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun, free radicals from metabolism, cosmic rays from space. These cause mutations. Most of the time your body can repair this damage, but not always. Over time, errors accumulate. Proteins misfold. Cellular machinery breaks down. This is called molecular aging, and it is happening to you right now. Every second, every moment, your body is deteriorating at the molecular level, and there is nothing you can do to stop it completely. Let me introduce you to another concept: information. In physics, information is deeply connected to entropy. Your body is not just a collection of atoms, it is a collection of information. The arrangement of atoms matters, the sequence of your DNA matters, the structure of your proteins matters, but the second law of thermodynamics tells us that information degrades over time. Think of a book left out in the rain. The ink smudges, the pages tear, the words become unreadable, the information is lost. The same thing happens to the information stored in your cells. Every chemical reaction in your body generates entropy. Every time a protein folds incorrectly, information is lost. Every time a cell dies without being replaced perfectly, information is lost. This is not reversible. Once information is lost, it cannot be recovered. And this is why you cannot simply rewind time and become young again. The information that defined your younger self has been degraded. The entropy has increased. The arrow of time points in one direction only, forward, toward greater disorder, toward death. Now let me zoom out. Let me show you that death is not just personal, it is universal. The entire universe is dying. And it is dying because of the same second law of thermodynamics. Stars are burning fuel. They are converting hydrogen into helium through nuclear fusion. This releases enormous amounts of energy, light, heat, radiation. But this process cannot continue forever. Eventually, stars run out of fuel. They collapse. They become white dwarfs or neutron stars or black holes. New stars are still being born from clouds of gas and dust, but the universe is running out of raw material. The rate of star formation is declining. In a few trillion years, the last star will flicker out. The universe will become dark, cold, empty, but it gets worse. Even black holes are not eternal. I discovered that black holes emit radiation. This is called Hawking radiation. It is an incredibly slow process. A black hole the mass of the sun would take 10 to the power of 67 years to evaporate. That is a 1 followed by 67 zeros. But eventually, even black holes will disappear. They will radiate away their mass. They will leave behind nothing but photons and other particles scattered across an unimaginably vast and empty space. This is called the heat death of the universe, a state of maximum entropy, a state where no work can be done, no stars shine, no planets orbit, no life exists, just a cold, dark, featureless expanse stretching on forever. This is the ultimate fate of everything, and it is guaranteed by physics. The second law of thermodynamics does not make exceptions, not for you, not for me, not for stars, not for galaxies, not for the universe itself. Now I know what you are thinking. Can we cheat death? Can we use technology to extend our lives indefinitely? Can we upload our minds to computers? Can we reverse aging? These are fascinating questions, and scientists are working on some of these ideas. There are experiments with telomerase, the enzyme that rebuilds telomeres. There are studies on caloric restriction and its effects on lifespan. There are technologies like cryonics that freeze bodies in the hope of future revival. But here is the hard truth. Even if we could extend human lifespan to 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years, we cannot escape the second law of thermodynamics. We cannot escape entropy. Any system that stores information, any system that does work, any system that maintains order will eventually degrade. Uploading your mind to a computer sounds like immortality, but computers also obey the laws of physics. They generate heat, they require energy, they accumulate errors. Over cosmic timescales, even digital minds would face entropy. And there is another problem, identity. If you copy your mind to a computer, is it still you, or is it just a simulation of you? The original biological you would still die. The copy might go on, but would it be you experiencing that continuation, or would your consciousness end the moment your brain stops? These are not just technological questions, they are philosophical questions. Questions about what it means to be alive, questions about what it means to be you. Let me take you even deeper, into the quantum realm. At the smallest scales, particles do not have definite properties until they are measured. An electron does not have a specific position or momentum until you observe it. It exists in a superposition of all possible states. Some physicists believe that consciousness plays a role in collapsing these quantum states. Others believe that the universe is constantly splitting into parallel branches. The many worlds interpretation suggests that every quantum event creates new universes. In some of those universes, you make different choices. In some, you live longer. In some, you die sooner. But does this mean that in some universe, you never die? Probably not. Because even in the many worlds interpretation, entropy still increases in each branch. The second law still applies. Death is still unavoidable. There is another strange quantum phenomenon called quantum immortality. It is a thought experiment. Imagine you are in a situation where your survival depends on a quantum event, a radioactive atom that has a 50% chance of decaying and killing you. In the many worlds interpretation, the universe splits. In one branch, the atom decays and you die. In the other branch, it does not and you live. From your subjective experience, you only experience the branch where you survive. No matter how many times the experiment is repeated, you always find yourself in the surviving branch. From your perspective, you seem immortal. But this is just a thought experiment. In reality, most causes of death are not purely quantum. They involve countless particles and interactions. The probability of surviving all of them approaches zero. Quantum immortality is not a real escape from death. Here is a deeper question. Why does the universe have a second law of thermodynamics in the first place? Why does entropy increase? Why does disorder always win? The answer has to do with probability. There are far more disordered states than ordered states. If you shuffle a deck of cards, there is only one arrangement that is perfectly ordered, ace through king in each suit. But there are billions of disordered arrangements. When systems evolve, they naturally move toward more probable states, and disorder is more probable than order. It is not that the universe wants chaos, it is just that chaos is statistically inevitable. This also explains the arrow of time. Why does time flow forward and not backward? Why do we remember the past but not the future? The answer is entropy. The past is a state of lower entropy. The future is a state of higher entropy. Our memories are physical structures in our brains that record low entropy states. We cannot remember the future because the future is more disordered. In a sense, death is built into the very structure of time itself. Time flows forward. Entropy increases. Order breaks down. Death follows. Now, let me shift perspectives. From physics to biology. Evolution does not care about your individual survival beyond your reproductive years. Natural selection favors traits that help you reproduce and raise offspring. Once that is done, evolution has no incentive to keep you alive. In fact, aging might be evolutionarily advantageous. Older individuals consume resources that could go to younger, more reproductively viable members of the species. By dying, you make room for the next generation. You allow evolution to continue. You allow adaptation to happen. This is why different species have different lifespans. Mice live 2 years. Humans live 80 years. Tortoises live 200 years. The differences are programmed into our genes, and those programs evolved based on reproductive strategies and environmental pressures. Some scientists have even proposed that aging is not just a side effect of entropy, but an actively programmed process. Genes that cause aging might have been selected for because they benefit the species as a whole, even if they harm the individual. But regardless of whether aging is programmed or passive, the result is the same. Death, unavoidable death. So what actually happens when you die? Let me describe it from a physics perspective. When your heart stops, oxygen stops flowing to your brain. Within seconds, your neurons begin to shut down. They can no longer maintain the electrical gradients that allow them to fire. Your consciousness fades. Within minutes, cells throughout your body begin to die. Without oxygen, they cannot produce ATP, the energy currency of life. Chemical processes grind to a halt. Waste products accumulate. Cell membranes break down. Within hours, rigor mortis sets in. Calcium leaks into muscle cells, causing them to contract and stiffen. This lasts for about a day before the muscles relax again as decomposition progresses. Decomposition is entropy in its most visible form. Bacteria that lived peacefully in your gut now spread throughout your body. They break down tissues, they release gases, your body bloats, skin discolors, fluids leak. Over weeks and months, your soft tissues decompose completely. Only bones remain, and even bones eventually crumble into dust over centuries. Every atom that made up your body returns to the environment. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus. They cycle back into the ecosystem. From a purely physical standpoint, you are never truly gone. Your atoms persist. They become part of plants, animals, other humans. The atoms in your body right now were once part of stars that exploded billions of years ago. and they will continue to exist long after you are gone. But the information that made you you, the specific arrangement of atoms, the patterns of connections in your brain, the memories and thoughts and feelings that constituted your consciousness, that information is lost, degraded by entropy, scattered to the winds. This brings me to perhaps the most important question. If death is unavoidable, if the universe itself is dying, if entropy always wins, then what is the point? Why do anything? Why live at all? I have thought about this question for decades, and here is what I have come to believe. The fact that death is inevitable does not make life meaningless. It makes life precious. You have a finite amount of time, a finite number of heartbeats, a finite number of moments. That makes each moment valuable. It means that what you do with your time matters. How you treat other people matters. What you create, what you discover, what you experience, it all matters. The universe may not care about your existence. The laws of physics may be indifferent to your fate, but you care. The people around you care, and that is enough. Think about it this way. A sunset is beautiful precisely because it does not last forever. A song is moving because it has an ending. A story has meaning because it reaches a conclusion. Life is the same. The fact that it ends is part of what makes it profound. I have spent my entire career studying the universe, black holes, the Big Bang, the nature of time, and what I have learned is this: we are a way for the universe to know itself. We are patterns of matter and energy that have become conscious. We are the universe looking back at itself with wonder. For a brief moment in cosmic history, the universe arranged itself into the form of human beings. Into you. Into me. We can think. We can feel. We can ask questions. We can seek answers. That is extraordinary. That is miraculous. Yes, it will end. Yes, entropy will win. Yes, death is unavoidable. But right now, in this moment, you are alive. You are conscious. You are experiencing reality. And that is not nothing. That is everything. Let me tell you about another kind of immortality, not the biological kind, not the digital kind, but the informational kind, the ideas you share, the knowledge you create, the impact you have on other people. When I published my work on black hole radiation, I added information to the collective knowledge of humanity. That information will outlast my body. It will be taught in universities. It will inspire future physicists. It will shape how we understand the universe. You do not have to be a scientist to leave a legacy. Every act of kindness you perform changes the world. Every person you teach learns something they can pass on. Every creation you make adds beauty to the universe. These ripples spread outward. They affect other people who affect other people who affect other people. In a sense, you become immortal through your impact, not in a supernatural sense, but in a very real physical sense. The information you create persists, it propagates, it influences the future. Of course, even this kind of immortality is temporary. Eventually, humanity will go extinct. Eventually, all records of our existence will be erased. Eventually, the heat death of the universe will erase everything. But that does not happen today. It does not happen tomorrow. It happens on timescales so vast that they are almost meaningless. For now, for the next thousands or millions of years, what we do matters. What we create persists, and that is a kind of victory over entropy. A temporary victory, yes, but a real one. Now let me address one final possibility. What if we are wrong? What if there is some loophole in the laws of physics that we have not discovered yet? What if future scientists find a way to reverse entropy? What if death is not actually inevitable? I will be honest, I doubt it. The second law of thermodynamics is one of the most well-established laws in all of physics. It has been tested countless times. It underlies everything from engines to ecosystems. Every observation we have ever made confirms it. But science is always open to revision. If someone discovers a genuine exception to the second law, if someone finds a way to decrease entropy in a closed system, it would overturn everything we know. It would be the greatest discovery in the history of science. Until then, we must accept the reality that physics describes. Death is not a punishment. It is not a flaw. It is a consequence of the fundamental laws that govern reality. The same laws that allow stars to shine and planets to form and life to exist also guarantee that everything must end. I have lived longer than doctors said I would. When I was diagnosed with ALS at age 21, they gave me 2 years. I have lived decades beyond that. Every day has been a gift. Every discovery has been a triumph. Every moment with my family has been precious. My body has failed me in many ways. I cannot walk. I cannot speak without assistance. I cannot do many of the things that most people take for granted. But my mind still works. I can still think. I can still explore the universe through mathematics and physics. I can still contribute to human knowledge. Death will come for me, as it comes for everyone, but I am not afraid. I have lived a full life. I have asked big questions and found some answers. I have experienced love. I have made discoveries. I have shared ideas. When I die, the information that makes me me will disperse. But the ideas I have contributed will remain, at least for a while. And that is enough. So here is my question for you. Knowing that death is inevitable, knowing that entropy always increases, knowing that the universe itself is dying, how will you choose to live? What will you do with the finite time you have? Will you waste it on trivial pursuits, or will you seek meaning? Will you create? Will you love? Will you explore? Will you contribute something to the universe that makes it better, even if just for a moment? This is not a rhetorical question. I genuinely want to know. Leave your answer in the comments. Tell me what you think gives life meaning in a universe governed by entropy. Let me leave you with this. Death is not the enemy. Entropy is not evil. They are simply the rules of the game. The universe is a temporary fluctuation in a sea of chaos. Life is an even more temporary fluctuation within that fluctuation. And consciousness, your consciousness, is the most temporary and most precious fluctuation of all. You are a pattern of atoms that can think about patterns of atoms. You are a way for the universe to experience itself. You are stardust that became conscious. And for a brief shining moment you get to exist. That moment will end. Physics guarantees it. But while it lasts, it is yours. Make it count. Ask questions. Seek truth. Create beauty. Show kindness. Experience wonder, because death may be unavoidable, but meaninglessness is not. You choose what your life means. You choose how you face the inevitable. You choose what you leave behind. The universe does not care about you, but I believe that is precisely why we must care about each other. In a cold, indifferent cosmos governed by entropy, consciousness is a miracle. Life is a rebellion against disorder. And every act of love, every moment of joy, every discovery of truth is a victory, however temporary, over the heat death that awaits us all. So live, think, create, love, question everything, never stop wondering, never stop seeking. Because you are not just a victim of entropy, you are a fighter against it, and even though you will ultimately lose, the fight itself is what makes you human. Thank you for watching. In a universe where death is unavoidable, life is all the more precious.